The plot is definitely thickening here in episode 62 of Dragon Ball Super. Hello there, beautiful friends from around the world. I'm your host, Blackenfist. This episode wastes no time and we go right into the fight between Trunks, Zamasu, and Black. We get absolute no confirmation, no explanation about Trunks' transformation or power-up. We really don't know what it is, and we might never know what it is. Although I know what it is. It's Deus Ex Machina Super Saiyan. Trunks goes in there and puts up a very decent fight. One thing that did surprise me though is that going off the previous episode, I was thinking that Trunks was going to lay a beatdown on both Zamasu and Black. Usually in Dragon Ball when a guy goes into a transformation or a power-up, usually what follows is that character going into a very righteous beatdown of the other guy, and honestly that didn't happen. Now I'm not saying Trunks got completely ran over, he did hold himself in there, but Black definitely wasn't going to get run over by someone like Trunks even in this state. So I did appreciate that, because at this point Black and Zamasu have been established to be very strong enemies, and if they can just be squashed by some guy getting a power up or transformation like Trunks, then that would be a problem. It would be a little bit inconsistent from what we have seen from them in the past. So I really did like that, you know what? Trunks put in a good fight, he put in a good effort, but he wasn't exactly completely in control. One thing that both Zamasu and Black did do, however, was this tag team move where they do an energy blast, they combine and it goes into one big strong blast. They did that twice. It was a cool move, but I have to imagine the reason we saw it twice is because you don't have to reanimate the same thing twice. Even though Trunks isn't strong enough to completely run them over, he is confident enough to tell Vegeta, Goku, and Bulma to go back to the past to regroup and come up with a better plan. Now that was a pretty ballsy move, and Vegeta was a little hesitant to do it, but he was reassured with, I guess, Trunks' newfound strength. It was a very ballsy move to say the least. I mean, you're leaving him, Trunks, really the only guy that can stand a chance. He can only barely fight them off, and I'm assuming that that's what we're going to see. He does have sensu beans, so in that respect, he does have that little trump card because they did leave the sensu beans with him. Back at the present, Beerus is pretty reassured himself by seeing everyone return that the conflict is done and that he was right. Remember, he's the one who said that Black shouldn't be a problem anymore since we killed him here in the present, although that really isn't the case. Bulma actually was gonna get a little mad at Beerus and about to strike him because he was so ignorant of what was going on. One thing I did find interesting here is just how oblivious it seems the God of Destruction and Whis is of alternate timelines, which honestly is striking to me. I mean, these guys are supposed to be some of the most knowledgeable characters in the entire series, yet they're not privy to how all this works. The reason I say Whis, even though he really didn't talk, is because when Beerus said all this, Black shouldn't be a problem anymore, even when he was saying it in this episode, Whis never corrected him. And I find Whis isn't the type of character that would be hesitant to correct Beerus. He has gone against and poked jabs at Beerus in the past, so him not doing it in this situation only means that he is on the same page with Beerus, which honestly makes me think of how much these guys don't know. It makes me think maybe the reason they don't know is because the reason the alternate timeline exists is because the time machine was created, and the time machine is not something the gods are created. It was something that mortals created, humans created. So maybe that's the reason that they're not aware of how all this works. Regardless, it is explained to them, and Beerus has another reaction. He says, hey, you know what? I'm the god of destruction of this universe. It's not my problem anymore. Zamasu's dead in this world. Why else should I care? That isn't exactly truthful, because we'll get later on into this episode, but it's also mentioned to Beerus that all the gods in the future timeline are dead. Now, I don't know about you, but if there's one thing Beerus does care about, it's about destroying things, yes. But it has to be the gods as well. Because later on in the episode, he does meet up with Gowasu, and they are discussing that situation. We don't know what they're going to do. However, he does say that he could easily deal with Zamasu, the immortal god, but it's just those darn rules of time travel that are preventing him from doing it. Now, this is a bit suspect to me because we have mortals, we have humans that are quite frankly moving around freely in time. We have renegades, renegade gods like Black doing the same thing. So I have a real big problem with this thing that they're trying to foist upon us, because it just seems like the humans are more free to do what they want in this situation than the gods are, because they're doing it, they're going back and forth in time without repercussions. We've already been told that this is not supposed to happen, yet Beerus and Whis are allowing it to happen anyway. So isn't that almost as bad as doing it yourselves? I mean, maybe it's not because your hands aren't getting filthy yourself, but aren't you getting stained at the very least? You're letting this happen under your watch. Now, I know why Beerus isn't going to go into the future for a practical purpose. It's because if Beerus and Whis go to the future to deal with Zamasu and Black, the whole arc would probably end up real quick, and it will probably be very predictable, and yeah, that's probably the reason. I hesitate to call it being written into a corner, but I do find it funny that the gods seem to be held back by their own rules more than the people that are supposed to be beneath them. Now, back in Universe 7, everyone is discussing the situation and how possibly they can remedy it. Chi-Chi gets worried about Goten and Goku since she's told that they died in a different timeline. Bulma responds by saying that, "No, Chi-Chi, don't worry, Goten's fine, he only died in the future." Now, I do want to point out that Goten doesn't exist in the future, but I just wanted to point that out just before anyone had in their ideas about this all being wrong. We have to remember, guys, Bulma is absorbing this all for the first time herself, so I can grant her making a little bit of mistakes herself. Granted, we have our own theory, the geekdom theory, which I don't know what else you could, the time loop thing, which I think I subscribe to. I think it's probably true. It's the one that makes the most sense. Of course, Goku is wondering how in the world they're going to defeat an immortal enemy. It's not like they're going to open up the dead zone this time around. Piccolo does have an idea, however. He suggests to use the evil containment wave, the Mafuba. It's the same move Master Roshi attempted to do on Demon King Piccolo. Now, I want to say on a side note that I do appreciate when they flash back to this scene of Master Roshi doing the Mafuba to Demon King Piccolo. I really appreciate that they reanimated this scene, that they did not use old Dragon Ball footage. I said it in the past and I'll say it again. I just don't like it when they recycle footage like that. I am much more appreciate it when they reanimate the scene. It just makes everything more consistent. In a slight bit of comedy, Goku agreeing with Piccolo saying that's a great idea, instant transmissions over to Master Roshi's place just as Piccolo was going to demonstrate the evil containment wave. Go figure. Now this brings us to the scene where Goku is practicing the evil containment wave until he gets it right. He practices it on Umigame, or Turtle. Now, I find it funny that Turtle finally gets a useful role again. I mean, somewhat useful, right? I mean, he hasn't really been doing anything ever since he got lost all those years back in the beginning of Dragon Ball, so, I mean, he gets to do something by being kind of a punching bag. Well, he's at least useful, he's at least relevant, so you know what, I like that. But anyway, that's really where the episode ends off, and it seems that the conflict is going to go on. It seems that Trunks is over there by himself, and he's going to have to hold them off until he can get some reinforcements, which will happen in the next episode. I don't know where it's going, guys. We'll see. I mean, honestly, like, this is kind of stumping me. I don't know, but we'll see. If you enjoyed this review and if you enjoyed these thoughts, please subscribe to this channel because I will be bringing you more reviews like this one, as well as my excellent Dragon Ball segments. But until next time, guys, I'm Blackenfist, and I'm out, man.